Barnes to get things underway and throws a lovely strike first up.
Back in business here. This crowd has been treated to a real power play.
Welcome to the Weber Cup, the transatlantic 10-pin showdown between Europe and the USA. After 5 years of European domination, could 2018 see America finally wrestle back control of the trophy, or will the streak continue? 6 matches in and it's Europe feeling the heat, while a relaxed USA have it all to smile about.
Team USA always seem to do better than Team Europe in Baker matches. But an open frame has more or less gifted this first Baker match to Team Europe. Oh, Barrett's got that ball working, that wraps it up. Troup doesn't look like he's going to make any mistakes at the moment. He is absolutely dialed on. Our first nail biter pretty early here, aren't we? Oh my goodness, he's got it, but with a huge slice of luck.
USA won and Europe won.
Looking for a magnificent 7. Well, what can you do about this?
Just crazy scores.
It really is. Oh, it's gone, it's gone. It thought about it, it was slow motion, and it went. And that could be the pin that secures the win. It was close to perfection from Anthony Simonson.
He's a bit perplexed. He hasn't quite worked the lane out just yet.
Oh, what he can't do is that. Now, that's a mental mistake. And there we go. That's over right there, and a look of absolute horror on the face of Martin Larsson. And it's been an easy night for Chris Barnes, who has helped steer the United States to 3 straight victories in singles competition. This is starting to unravel for Team Europe at the moment. Would you believe this?
Stu can't buy a strike. Well, it's 9 frames in a row without a strike. And there's the spare, the 2 and the 10 from Jones, just showing off. It's much too much for Stu Williams.
And America continue to just roll along here. They have complete control of the scoreboard. Right now, the score looking very healthy for a team that hasn't won this competition in 5 years. And it is 5 in a row.
A fantastic start from the Americans has seen them win 5 matches on the bounce to open an early 4-point lead over the Europeans. Will their run continue? Let's find out, as it's now time to reveal who the public voted for in the first ever Fans' Choice match.
This year we have lots of guys that really have fire inside of them. Tommy, I know he's really excited to be back. Simonson, he's one of the youngest talents on tour, and he gets quite fiery. So, I'm going to be the hype up guy, so to speak, and hopefully continue to bowl as good as I have the last 2 years.
They have a really strong team, but we know we have a very good time together in our team, and we know each other very well. So. I mean, we have no plans on letting them bring the cup over to America. We're going to get 6 in a row.
It's 1 point for the win, with 19 the required score to lift the trophy. The matches are played over 10 frames, and your commentators for this one are Cass Edwards and Nick Halling.
What would you be thinking if you're Chris Barnes? If you lose this one 5-2, it's still a pretty good ledger, isn't it? But there's the chance of a 6-1 here. Would you feel disappointed if you didn't get it?
No. 5-2 is a good result for the first session. and obviously hope to capitalise on the next sessions that come up the rest of this weekend.
So a lot of pressure on young Jesper Svensson, the 23-year-old Swede, going head-to-head against his good mate. Friendship on hold for the next 15 minutes or so. And to make this Weber Cup competitive, Team Europe need to start putting some wins together. Let's see if it can start here with the very last match of the Friday evening session. Since losing that Baker when they looked very flat and slow off the blocks, all of them, the Americans have been simply unstoppable. 5 in a row in singles play. Is it going to be 6 here as Kyle Troup gets this last match of the night off with an 8? That's interesting. Now, he didn't have a very good pocket hit there at all.
Yeah, it didn't seem to drive up very quickly, did it? Leaves the 4 and the 8-pin standing, which, I mean, that should be a straightforward spare, but didn't seem to be very much reaction in the back end. Goes to his harder spare ball, which should go a lot straighter. And takes the spare away nicely for 18.
Yeah, but we have seen the Americans seemingly getting off to fast starts throughout all these singles matches, and the Europeans have been chasing from the first 2 or 3 frames. So there's a chance here for Svensson to establish the early initiative.
Two fingers, no thumb. Some call it the shovel shot.
Left the 7.
But it's pretty effective, and everything's just jumped around that 7-pin. He's hit the pin so hard. Whereas the right-handers often leave the 10-pin. Svensson, the left-hander, leaves the 7-pin.
Would it be fair to say, Cass, Europe are not trailing here because they've been unlucky, but if there has been some bad luck to be had, the Europeans have tended to be on the receiving end of it?
Well, you look at Stu Williams' game, you're absolutely right. Stu Williams' game, he went 9 frames without a single strike. Well, I don't think Stu's ever done that in his life. Man hits 300 games for fun. Just couldn't hit a strike to save his life. And already they're having a confrontation after one shot.
So who's going to get the first strike? It's Troup. Well, there was a real spring in his step as he went back there. Not a perfect pocket hit, but it did hold up just enough.
Yeah, no, I think he liked the shape of that shot, and he got all the pins to carry, so he's very happy with that. Now, hopefully, carry on and do it again for the next few frames. He's leading, so he's leading off. He's bowled 2 frames. Svensson's only bowled the 1, so Svensson's under pressure to keep pace.
Oh my goodness! It's another one that on another day you're seeing all 10 go.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's high through the headpin. It was that 6-pin standing. But as you say, it's just another single pin, so it can only be 19 pins if he spares it.
I wonder what's going through Don Barrett's mind right now. Do you just say nothing tonight? Do you just let everybody just forget about it? There's no point in piling on the misery here. Do you just leave it till tomorrow? How do you play this? I mean, it's still early in this match, of course, but even if Svensson comes back and gets the win, this has been Europe's second best pretty much from the get-go.
I'm of the opinion that tomorrow is another day. They'll go out tonight and have a couple of lemonade shandies and a decent steak, get a good night's sleep, and be back tomorrow to give Team USA a real pounding. But there you go.
That's the theory. And equally, as Troup just rips the rack again, if you're Chris Barnes, I guess the message is you keep everybody's feet on the ground. You celebrate nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Just be level-headed and come out tomorrow, repeat what we've done tonight. 2 strikes in a row for Kyle Troup. As you said before, both the team members of Troup are nearby, giving him every sort of encouragement that he may or may not need.
Well, at the moment he looks very happy in his own zone, Troup. And he's got his teammates around him if he wants to talk to them. And it was interesting that Svensson, who does get the strike there, did go and talk to Stuart Williams, as you pointed out, after one shot.
Welcome back to the Weber Cup. It's match 7, the fans' choice, where after 3 frames, Kyle Troup for the US has the slight edge over Europe's Jesper Svensson. Nick Halling picks up the action.
But Troup has looked rock solid with his back-to-back strikes. Is this a turkey for him? No, he leaves the corner 10.
Which is unfortunate. I mean, the difference between a strike, which is 30 pins, and a 9 spare, which is only 19, is obviously 11 pins difference. And would you really think he deserves to lose 11 pins on a shot like that? But that's bowling. And that's also the scoring system of the World Bowling Association. This system that's been developed for television finals, not for league play anywhere around the world. And it can't be sanctioned because it only has 10 possible strikes for a 300 game. But it certainly makes TV matches much more interesting and keeps the scores high as well.
Well, there's a good chance here for Svensson to just edge back in front with a strike. And his best shot last time up. Does he double up here? Yes, he does.
Yes, well called, Nick. 30 pins takes Jesper Svensson and Team Europe into a single pin lead after 4 frames. Lots of action in the back end there. And he walks back, obviously feeling very satisfied with himself. But there's still a long way to go.
So Troup 9 spare last time with what was a beautiful shot. Well, well, well.
Well, they scattered everywhere, didn't they? Pins all over the deck, except in the tenpin area in that right-hand corner.
Well, this is incredible.
It's a light hit. There's a couple of messengers, a couple of pins laying in the gutter, and nothing hits that tenpin. Yeah, pretty unfortunate, but that is bowling.
Well, he's still not, just looking at Troup there, he's still just happy in his own zone. Now there is a sort of glance over, but he's not wanting to engage in any conversation. And interestingly, Chris Barnes doesn't feel the need to get involved in any dialogue either, except with the person on the end of that phone call.
He's just texting the result of the session to the United States to his wife Linda and the twins sitting at home.
So Svensson, look at that. That is almost defying the laws of physics. That is ridiculous.
Only 9.
How many millimeters from that spinning pin and that 10 in the corner? I mean, this looks almost impossible.
I'm surprised nothing came back off the kickback as that messenger came through there.
Look at that.
Just crazy, isn't it?
You could never replicate that shot again if you tried. Well, both players have been right out of luck with that corner 10 in this match. And it keeps it very, very close indeed.
We've got a single pin game at the halfway stage.
Yeah, the difference is Svensson's had 3 9 spares. Troup's had 2 9 spares and an 8 spare. That is the only difference between them. They both had a double. 1 pin the difference at the midway point. Well, Troup was in a very similar battle with Don Barrett in his first singles match. And he ending up on the right side of that one. Takes all 10 this time. Does manage to kick that 10 out of there.
Yeah, the advantage swings back to Team USA. Great looking shot here from the two-handed right-hander. Tenpin was the last one to go, but it went, fortunately for him.
Well, I tell you what, Chris Barnes is looking an inspired captain at the moment. Guy Kaminsky saying earlier, oh, it was a mistake to put Tommy Jones on back-to-back matches. That paid off. You questioned the wisdom of not having a lefty in the squad. That so far has paid off, but this one is still up for grabs here. But right now, Barnes must be pretty happy, whatever happens with the rest of this match, with how this first session has gone. There's not much heat change.
No, you're quite right, Nick. And this game is certainly not all over. There's only one pin in it, and it could go either way. A strike or a 9-pin tap will be the difference between winning and losing this game.
So he's as tough as they come as well, mentally, Svensson. So's this guy. It's not going to be about who's not mentally tough in a tight battle like this. They both are battle hard. Now, with the stakes very, very high indeed, the strikes are starting to roll. That is 3 in a row. 1 for Svensson, 2 now for Troup. That double could be significant if Svensson doesn't match it here. Troup goes back in front.
This is it, Nick. Yeah, whatever Carl Troup does, Jesper Svensson has to copy just to stay in touch. Or to stay 1 pin ahead.
Stay 1 pin
as
ahead,
it is at the moment, yeah.
Here in frame 7. Once again, he's thrown it down with a double. Svensson has to mirror that, or he's trailing. With 3 frames to go after this. High stakes. Big ball this. Oh, and there it is, the 7.
Cracky. Can you believe that?
He can't. And on another day, it's another one of those pins that on another day it goes.
Frustration starting to show, and the reason is because that Carl Troup has doubled, and Svensson put in a fantastic looking shot like that and has virtually been punished.
Well, as you said earlier, when Troup missed, left a single pin there, and you said, does he really deserve to lose 11 pins there? You could say exactly the same for Jesper Svensson right there. He did nothing wrong.
No, it is quite cruel, but that's the nature of this scoring system. Troup opens a 10-pin lead, working on 2 strikes.
And it means if he strikes out, the door is locked.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Frame 8, Troup up by 10. Will stay in front.
Sails through the 200 barrier in the 8th frame. Jesper needs a strike just to stay with him, to stay 10 pins adrift.
Well, this really is must strikes time for Svensson. The gap's too big if he doesn't.
Quite a good selection by the fans online that picked these 2 players.
Well, I think most neutrals would have liked to see this matchup, that's for sure. So the fans have got this one right.
Absolutely, yeah.
This has got to be a strike. Nothing else will do. And there it is.
Keeps it at 10 pins. Great looking shot from Svensson. Just gets a kick on that corner pin from the 4 pin off the kickback. Tense time. We're on the foundation frame. It's frame number 9.
There's some worried faces in blue and yellow.
Well, Troup's played pretty well this game. He's sitting on 3 in a row. Previously had 2 in frames 2 and 3.
Oh, now change again. Another twist in this particular tale. That has actually put the initiative back to Svensson. If he can double, if he can strike out, he wins by 1 pin.
It's very much a swings and roundabouts scenario, isn't it? And he just hates that. How could you do that to me?
Well, what an extraordinary match to close the evening. It's just got away from him again. Svensson, if he can strike here and strike in frame 10, he wins.
Yep, 3 strikeout. But it has to be. It can't be anything else. At this stage of the game, he cannot afford a single pin tap and a 9 spare.
Well, they've both had some bad luck in this match, and they'll both be hoping that that's all gone away. Certainly, Svensson doesn't need any ill fortune here. Frame 9 must be 10. It is. And is. They've got a chance here with Jesper Svensson, the Europeans.
Well, the crowd have realised it, and the roof's almost come off. Great looking shot here from Svensson. 2 strikes in frames 8 and 9. Gives him a 1-pin lead going into the 10th.
And it's flipped the other way again, hasn't it? Svensson now just has to mirror what Troup does. Simple as that.
It is. It's simple arithmetic, isn't it?
So, whether it's a strike, a 9 spare, 7 spare, whatever, Svensson's got to equal it. But wouldn't he love to just throw the bar down there and say, OK, you've got to match that? And he doesn't. He doesn't. 9 spares, no good at this stage of the match.
Gosh. Spare for 244. Svensson will need 9 spare for 245.
244 to go with his earlier 266. He was on the right side of a 12-point win, Kyle Troup, last time. This time he might be on the wrong end of a 12-point differential if Jesper Svensson strikes out here. 9 spare will still be good enough. What a huge morale booster this could be for Team Europe if Jesper Svensson can finish the night on a high.
8 spares a tie. And then we'll have a roll-off.
Oh. Oh, he's done enough. Not yet. He's still got to knock over that single 7. Oh, could this be any closer? Could this be any closer?
Nick, it's been a really great game for both players. I mean, Kyle Troup has bowled a really good game for 244. But I think he's just going to be pipped to the post if Jesper Svensson can take this 7-pin away.
We do see the single pins missed, but surely not in a situation like this. This to win the point for Team Europe. And he's nailed it. He's done it. What a match.
Just the 1-pin, 245 victory over 244. And it's a point for Team Europe.
A vital 1-pin win for Europe sees a potential 6-1 deficit turned into a slightly more bearable 5-2 shortfall. Reaction and comment to follow after the break. Welcome back to the 19th Weber Cup, where Jesper Svensson has just claimed a hugely important point for Team Europe in the first ever Fans' Choice match. An outstanding opening session from the US, winning 5 of the 7 matches, sees them open a 3-point lead over Team Europe. Let's get some reaction now from the European performance so far and the importance of victory in the Fans' Choice match from Captain Don Barrett and Jesper Svensson.
What a way to end a session. That match was so tight. I think you could have heard a pin drop in here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's good for the crowd, but you know, stepping into the game, I didn't care if I win by 1 pin or 100 pins. We were just so ready to win a point and get some momentum going for tomorrow. So, I mean, we're not in too bad shape. I think we had a little bit of bad luck. I think we bowled okay, so I feel good for tomorrow anyway.
The momentum was so with the team at USA. Were you feeling the pressure when you got out here? Because I know it's a stage that you love to perform on, but at some points there must just feel like so much on your shoulders.
Of course, I mean, you want to win every time you're out on the lane, and yeah, they've been off to a good start. I mean, hands down, they bowled good, but we're only one session down, so long way to go, and yeah, it feels good to at least get one more point for tomorrow.
Absolutely. Now, Dom, as Jesper just said, only one session down, and actually you were in the same point last year because USA won the first session last time, so no worries?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, it's very, very early days. There was a big point that Jesper got for us there. And we're going to go back now to the hotel and get some food and sit down and talk about us right-handers, what we need to do better to be able to compete with the Team USA. And that's exactly what we did last year too.
After a frustrating opening set of matches, could Session 2 offer some relief for Team Europe? If it does, then Stu Williams will have something to say about it, as he features in 3 of the first 4 games, including the opening fixture against Troup. But before that, a quick reminder of the rules of tenpin and how they apply to the Weber Cup. Tony Wrighton now explains.
The lane is 42 inches wide and 60 foot long to the headpin, bordered by 2 gutters. The lane is applied with an oiling pattern, which reduces friction between the ball and the lane. Lane patterns can vary and can aid the bowler at times. The lane approach is 15 to 17 feet. There's a foul line between the approach and the lane. If a player touches or slides over this line after they've delivered the ball, it's called as a foul and no pins are scored. A full game is made up of 10 frames with up to 2 balls each frame. Knocking all 10 pins down with the first bowl is called a strike. Scoring 3 consecutive strikes is called a turkey. If a bowler doesn't score a strike, a second ball is thrown to clear other standing pins. If successful, this is called a spare. Failing to clear all pins with 2 balls is called an open frame. Sometimes pins are left standing at opposite ends of the pin deck. This is called a split and often results in an open frame. If scores are tied after 10 frames in this tournament, players will bowl off a 2-frame roll-off with the game scores scratched. The bowler's ultimate goal is a perfect 300 game, which is the maximum 10 strikes in a row. The Weber Cup has seen 6 perfect games in total, the last 2 being by Team USA in 2013.
So it's a 10-frame match with a strike worth 30 points and the maximum score being the magical 300. A spare is 10 points plus the pinfall of the first shot in the frame, and actual pinfall after 2 shots in an open frame. Coming up now, match number 8, Williams against Troup.
I feel like we bowled really well yesterday as a team. The goal was definitely to come out with a strong start. You know, we lost the Baker match with, you know, some bad shots, some bad breaks, and other than that match, you know, I felt like we bowled really well. It would have been really nice to knock off Jesper twice in the opening day, but you know, 5-2, it's a good start. You know, that's one session won. If we win every session, we win the Weber Cups.
When we sit down at the end of the night, we just look back on how the matches went, you know. What we felt like we did good, what we felt like we did bad, and you know, the did good was pretty short and the did bad was pretty long, and you know, we've been in, like I say, we've been in this position before on a Friday night, we're not too worried.
It's 1 point for the win with 19 the total needed for overall victory. And your commentators are Cass Edwards and Nick Halling.
He started off here with a perfect 10 and we'll be looking for a lot more of those, as will Team Europe.
Yeah, nice looking shot from Stuart there, wide on the right-hand side of the lane. Could only manage a 188 game in his singles match last night, whereas this man coming up, Troup, had 2 singles matches of 266 and 244, so he was really lined up.
But the big question is, if you were watching last night, what on earth's Troup done to his hair? I mean, that is a totally different look. He gets a strike. I mean, is he going for a bit more aerodynamics here? Just getting the hair sort of squashed down a little bit. Maybe a bit more speed at the approach.
Certainly looks like it, and he could almost be renamed Troup the way he got up onto the stage just now. But great looking shot into the 1-3 pocket. Both players start with a strike, 30 pins apiece.
That's a serious different look from Troup.
Different lane pattern as well today, Nick. It's very much heavy oil in the middle of this lane compared to the outside. So both players, being right-handers, will be playing the outside boards of the lane just like that, and getting some great reaction at the back end from Stu Williams. It's a different day, it's a different lane pattern, and it will be a different Stu Williams, I'm sure.
Well, these things do balance out. Yesterday, Williams just couldn't buy a break, could he? Corner pin after corner pin left standing, but this is a good start for him. That lane pattern you were talking about is the cutlass pattern, which runs 41 feet down, and as Cass said, very heavy oil right in the middle of it. And that was chosen by Team Europe after the Americans chose their long lane pattern yesterday and used it to very good effect. Well, Troup's using this lane pattern to good effect as well. A double from him to open up with. High quality start to this first match of the Saturday afternoon session.
Nick, you'll also notice that both these players are keeping their speed up a lot. They're bowling a lot faster down the outside of the lane because it's certainly there's more friction there. So they need to get the ball down the lane to find the dry part, get that ball hooking back, and of course they've got to be very accurate. And the greatest thing to do, of course, is to repeat, have repeatability. Get locked in your A game and just stay there.
Williams has shown over the years what a solid Weber Cup campaigner he is. It's amazing how often he's delivered the goods when they really needed it, but he's not delivered there, and that got out of the pocket. And any time you are that flush on the head pin, you run the risk of the big split, and that's exactly what he's got.
Overreaction in the back end. That ball's gone straight through the face of the number 1 pin and left the 4, 6, 7, 10. We called it the big split, and unfortunately it would have been an open frame.
Well, that's just taken the air out of some of his momentum. Nothing like opening up with a double, but then leaving yourself a split like that. It hands the initiative to the other guy. Here is the other guy. And as we've said before, the #1 rule in this business, when your opponent has an open frame, you have to jump on that with a strike.
Enough said, Nick. He did exactly what you suggested. 3 strikes in a row. He's jumped all over Stuart Williams and extended a huge lead now.
Welcome back to the 19th Weber Cup. This is match 8. Stu Williams is on the lane. Nick Halling picks up the action.
It's a much better pocket hit. Having a word with the pins there. Let them know.
Quite sure what the problem there was with Stuart, but he's talking it over with his teammates after shooting strike number 3 out of 4 frames.
They're under a lot of pressure, this quartet, there's no doubt about that. I mean, the Jesper Svensson victory in the final game rather helped paper over the cracks, because they were well and truly second best last night. There's no getting around that. And the Americans will want to keep their foot firmly pressed down on the way Troup is going. He is in complete control, and we've talked about it before, and it always does seem to be a jinx, particularly this early in a match, but we know a 300 is coming this weekend. It's long overdue.
Nick, I knew you were going there. Yeah, 4 strikes straight. He's perfect so far. Let's just hope he can keep it going. It would be great to see, but quite often the commentator's curse does tend to sort of wander in there, doesn't it?
Well, they're rare, aren't they? I mean, we've had, this is the 19th of these. We've only had 6 300 games in the history of the competition, 5 of them from an American hand. And that is now a real problem as the single pin stands up and the gap between them grows.
Yes, indeed. The difference between a strike, which is 30, and a 9 spare is 19. So you lose 11 pins straight away. It's very much cutthroat, this world bowling scoring system, but it works for televised bowling.
Well, it was already 22 pins adrift, and if Troup gets another strike here, he will be facing a serious uphill battle.
Yeah, it'll be over 30 pins adrift if Carl can get another strike here. Make it 5 in a row at the halfway stage. But you can see the amount of oil on that ball of Carl's. That he's cleaning it off. So he's got a fresh reaction every time. But these modern bowling balls, they're called reactive resin, they absolutely lick the oil off the lane. So the lane condition is changing all the time from ball to ball. But he's good so far.
Oh, it doesn't seem to bother him at all, does it? 5 perfect pocket hits, 5 perfectly executed strikes. Can't do it any better than this, Carl Troup.
Halfway to that magic score of 300. Great looking shot. Pushes all 10 pins back into the pin deck.
Well, he's back in business here, but as the horse bolted.
Well, I think one more strike from Carl and he'll think that this game's done and dusted all over, and he may well think about concentrating on a different score. He can relax knowing the game will be won.
You know something, Cass, all these bowlers, they tell you, I never think about a 300 game. Let's have the truth. At what point do they start thinking about a perfect game?
Well, probably about frame 7 or 8. If they're lined up, they're going to think to themselves, well, the game's won, let's go all the way.
Well, he's halfway there. No, the journey ends right there with a 10 pin that didn't want to know.
Yeah, I just actually noticed the bowling ball that Carl is using is actually a urethane surface bowling ball, which is slightly harder and will actually go further down the lane than the reactive bowling balls I was talking about. But it still soaks the oil up. Gets his hard spare ball out. Takes that away nicely. They're 19 pins.
But the wait for the 300 will go on for at least another match. The two guys in shot there, Chris Barnes and Tommy Jones to the right, own 5 of the 6 300 games in Weber Cup history. Jones on the right with 4 of them, Barnes with 1. The sole British 300. As Williams racks up another strike, came from Paul Moore, the Yorkshireman, who got the first of them many, many years ago now up in Barnsley.
Yeah, another strike from Stu Williams. Great looking shot. Makes his 5th strike, although he's still trailing. You can see the amount of oil that's on that ball that he has to wipe off every time.
Well, it's been such a cruise for him. Now, Williams, though, with that double, has actually forced Troup to strike here. Otherwise, this gets really close. So momentum has shifted. And for the first time, just a little hint of pressure on the American here. This has got to go. And does.
Well, he's certainly up to the speed there. He may well have changed his line. He's certainly changed the bowling ball for that shot from the previous one. And it certainly worked out for him. 10 pin is just about gone. Pins flying all over the deck. But it's another 30 scored.
Yeah, he liked that one. He knew that was big. It keeps him 22 in front. Williams has to strike. Well, there wasn't an awful lot wrong with that, was there? There really wasn't. Once again, the curse of the single pin. It's the 7. Has come to bite Stuart Williams.
Yeah, lots of pins went across that corner, didn't, but nothing hit it at all.
I mean, you know, there is luck in this game, and everybody, the very, very best bowlers in the world, will admit that. Stuart Williams had no luck there at all. And that is probably the end of this match right there.
Well, a couple of frames to go, and as you say, it was 22 pins. It could be 33 if Carl can strike in this 8th frame.
Well, he's not over the line yet. If he does end up with an open frame, if he does find himself with a split, this will get very interesting. But Troup has been solidly in the pocket. Strikes apart from 1-9 spare, and that's it. Taking his time. Lovely smooth approach. And all that pin action does the job with the 10 again. The combs are out.
A fantastic looking strike. Look at this one hit the pocket. It actually leaves the 7-10 standing there for half a second, and then the messenger takes the 10 pin out. Great pin action in the pin deck. And a couple of picks from Carl Troup.
Well, he knows this is pretty much done now then, as we go into frame 9, and the European momentum that was generated by Jesper Svensson in the last match of last night, that's dissipated. Just about got the strike there. The 8 pin went down in slow motion, didn't it? But it did go.
Yeah, they all count. That was his 9th frame. He's on 226, so 256 maximum for Williams. And Troup can up his average by going all the way out and shooting 289.
Well, he bowled last night a 266 and a 244 in that nail biter, which he lost by 1 pin against Svensson in the last match last night. So his average, as you say, around the 250 mark at the moment. He'll be padding that here. There it goes again. The messenger for the 3rd time kicks out the 10. He's getting a lot of pin action.
He's absolutely loving this game. And so is Chris Barnes, the captain, coming straight out first game, blasting a massive score, taking the point, and the messenger taking the 10 pin.
Yes, that actually makes it mathematical. There's nothing Williams can do here about it at all. And yet another single pin left standing.
Well, Stewart hasn't bowled a bad game. It's the one big open frame he had. He's bowled 6 strikes, but it was the open frame in frame number 3 which really has cost him the game.
Yeah, 245 on another day, you'd be quite satisfied with. 240s are not winning too many matches at this year's Weber Cup, are they?
I was going to say, in fact, I said yesterday, if it's not a 240 game, you are not going to win, and if you know, it could well be a 250 that you get beaten. He hasn't bowled a bad game, as I say. Just a big open frame, but it's this man, Carl Troup, looking for a strike for 289.
Well, left the sleeper. But he is looking at a 260-something game. So, as you say, he'll put up his average a little bit. And if he takes both of these out, well, in fact, already he's achieved his high score at this year's Weber Cup. What can he add to it? Is it going to be a 269 to finish? Yes, it is. Normal service resumed then for Team USA. The 277 here this afternoon. And the Americans straight back down to business. They lead it now 6-2.
I definitely feel like I have a good look with the urethane ball on the fresh. You know, that's kind of why they put me out first. And yeah, I kind of got around the little one on the wrap 10, but you know, the ultimate goal was to get the point, and that's what I did.
Now, obviously, the bowling is important, but I've got to ask you, the change in hairdo. Everyone was in shock this morning when you walked in. What's going on? What's wrong with the fro? Where's it gone?
I just figured change it up a little bit. You know, the Weber Cup, I've been here 3 years. They've never seen anything but the fro, so figure I normally go with tight curls for the win, and I mean, we're starting out pretty good, so hopefully it works for me.
Europe needed a strong start after day one's disappointing results, but another singles victory for the US has now seen them lose 6 out of the last 7 matches. Can they stem the tide? We'll find out next time when Williams teams up with Svensson in the doubles action before the young Swede returns to face the Texan Simonsen.